Directions. In this section of the test, you will have an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to understand conversations and talks in English. There are 3 parts in this section with special directions for each part. Answer all the questions on the basis of what is stated or implied by the speakers in the recording. There will be time for you to read the instructions and you will have a chance to check your work. The recording will be played once only. Now you will have some time to look at part 1. We will tell you when part 1 begins. Part 1, Questions 1 to 8. Directions. In this part, you will hear 8 short announcements or instructions. There is 1 question for each announcement or instruction. For each question, choose the right answer, A, B, C or D. Then, on the answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer that you have chosen. Now, let's listen to an example. On the recording, you will hear.
Hello. This is the travel agency returning your call. You left a message about the holiday you booked, asking which meals are included in the cost during your stay at Sunny Hotel. Lunch and dinner are free, but if you wish to have breakfast in the hotel, you will need to pay an extra amount of money, depending on what you order. Let me know if I can help you with any other information. Goodbye.
On the test book, you will read. Which meal is not included in the price of the holiday? A. Breakfast. B. Lunch. C. Dinner. D. All. The correct answer is A. Breakfast. Now, let's begin with the first question.
1. You hear part of a program about music in schools. Why are fewer children joining school choirs?
Schools no longer have queues of kids saying they want to join the choir. It never used to be difficult to get children involved, as all primary school children used to learn to sing in class. Unfortunately, this practice has declined in recent years, and I'm sure most parents would agree with me about the reason for this. Fewer of today's teachers feel confident to lead the singing, let alone accompany it on a keyboard. If children reach adolescence without having learnt to sing with others with enjoyment and without embarrassment, there's little chance of them ever taking it up.
2. You overhear a conversation about evening classes. Why did the girl decide to register for a photography course?
So you've taken to going to evening classes?
Yes. I thought January was the perfect time to try something new, change things I wasn't happy with. The course in digital photography sounded ideal because it's so different from my coursework at college, which was overloading me and making me feel anxious.
Right.
I didn't know then that it would actually look good on my CV and give me an extra 30 credits on top of my degree, which isn't bad for a few hours work a week. I might even find that when I go on holiday with my friends, I'll be entrusted with taking the photos.
3. You overhear 2 people talking about a new cafe. What did they both approve of?
Well, I reckon Cafe Promo's doing well. It's the perfect place to stop for a coffee and a bite to eat when you're out in town.
Yes, they're really making an effort to offer something a little bit different. They obviously want to stand out from the more predictable coffee chains. And they do great baguettes and sandwiches with really generous fillings.
Rather too generous for my liking, but good value, I guess. People want something a bit out of the ordinary, and they've certainly succeeded in doing that. Now they need to pay more attention to training their staff. But I think that'll come.
It may do.
4. You hear a man talking about exploring underground caves. What is he?
He made it sound so adventurous and liberating when he said it's the total freedom of it, escaping the world, leaving civilization behind. It's like exploring outer space. After that, I changed my mind about caving. What had previously seemed a rather puzzling, even unappealing pastime became a passion, thanks to the enthusiasm of this instructor. I was joining a group of other college students, and together with a TV journalist and camera crew, we were off to discover the realities of life underground. I hoped that I wouldn't make a fool of myself on television. I was more frightened of that than I was of the actual physical and mental challenges ahead of me.
5. You hear part of an interview with a restaurant owner. What is attracting customers to the restaurant?
I opened the restaurant 2 weeks ago, and most days it's quite full. I was interviewed the other day for an article in Good Eating magazine, and that'll probably attract even more people.
Well, it may be that your very good website is making people want to come and give you a try. I don't know if you designed it, but it's very attractive indeed.
Actually, it was professionally done, though I'm sure you're right. My wife wasn't very keen on spending the money on it. She reckons satisfied customers tell their friends, and that's enough.
She may have a point, of course. You'll have to wait and see.
6. You overhear a woman talking about a language course. What does she criticize about it?
I've just finished my first year, and I have some good things to say about the course. I thought it would be all girls on it, but I was surprised to see how many guys there are. I've gained a basic knowledge of the language. Spanish grammar isn't easy, I can tell you. I've been told it all gets more intense from September. I was hoping I'd be thrown in at the deep end, that I'd be fluent by the end of the year. It's disappointing. That won't happen now. Most of my classmates are doing other languages as well, and they're happy with this pace.
On the radio, you hear a man talking about food. What does he do?
My whole life has been talking about food, really, though I've never been tempted to write about it. Me and my wife, at dinner, we'll sit, eat, and talk about where we're going to source a new product from. I get excited about how we present food on the shelves. Sometimes I even get excited about the boxes food comes in, or the way the grower has presented it. I like to provide the local restaurants with food that is fresh and to support local farmers and small growers. I've been interviewed for radio and television twice, so I'm really concerned I might become a celebrity one of these days.
8. You hear a man talking about moving house. How did he feel after moving to a new area?
I moved here with my wife and children 3 months ago, from the city. We wanted a quieter life. But a week after the move, I found myself wanting to go back to the place we'd left, thinking, that's it, I'm too old for this. The friends I've got won't bother to come this far to see me. It lasted a few days, and I'm afraid it worried my wife a lot. She'd keep telling me how nice the people next door were, how they'd given us this lovely bunch of flowers, how the kids had already made some friends. She didn't understand it wasn't about that at all.
This is the end of part 1. Now, go on to part 2. Now you will have some time to look at part 2. We will tell you when part 2 begins. Part 2, Questions 9 to 20. In this part, you will hear 3 conversations. The conversations will not be repeated. There are 4 questions for each conversation. For each question, choose the correct answer, A, B, C or D. Questions 9 to 12.
Hey, Jim, do you mind if I ask you about something?
Sure, Amy. What's up?
I'm thinking about leaving the history course.
You're not going to drop out of college, are you?
No, I don't think so, but I'm considering transferring to another major. I'm just not sure if history is the right thing.
Why not? It's not like you've been doing badly in your assignments or anything, is it? Thought your grades were okay.
Yeah, it's not that.
Don't you like the course?
Yeah, of course I do. It's just that I'm worried that I won't have learnt anything useful by the end of it. It's not like there are many jobs to be had as a historian, are there? So when I get to the end of the course, I'm only going to have to train as something else in order to get a decent job. Well, as far as I see it, I might as well be doing that training now, instead of learning about the Romans.
But don't you find it fascinating? I do. There's nothing in the world I'd rather be learning about.
Yeah, of course I do, Jim. The course is great, and the professors are all really enthused, and that's really inspiring. I just can't see the point of it all. It's a lot of hard work, after all, and I'm not sure I'm going to come away with anything useful at the end of it.
Well, what are you thinking of doing instead?
Maybe something like business or management.
I can't think of anything duller.
Yeah, I know it's not riveting, but that's not the point.
Well, it is actually. The way I see it, college isn't for making you employable. It's for really getting to grips with something you find fascinating. Meeting like-minded people and debating the world's issues. It's a golden opportunity to do the things you love for 4 years without being burdened by the outside world. The employability aspect is just an added bonus.
So what do you intend to do after?
I'm thinking of training as a teacher. That way I can use what I've learned.
You'd be really good at that. You're really keen, and you really get people excited about what they're doing. I couldn't do that, though. It's not really my thing.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other employers out there who really appreciate the skills that we history geeks learn as part of our course.
Stuff like what?
Like sourcing information, gleaning what's relevant and what's not, critical analysis, and writing skills, of course, and all those presentations we do, all those things that are transferable to other jobs. That sort of thing makes them really enthusiastic.
It's a bit of a waste, though, if you never use what you've learnt.
What I think you should do is go to the careers office and talk to them. They'll be able to tell you what sort of careers you can get with a background in history. They should be able to convince you that it's worthwhile to stay on.
I talked to Professor Jacques already.
Professor Jacques doesn't know anything about that sort of thing. I doubt if she'd ever left the college since she entered it, and that must have been 50 years ago. See, someone in the careers office, they'll know what they're talking about. Hopefully, they'll give you some suggestions of things that you can do with a history degree and convince you that business isn't the way to go.
Okay, I'll try that.
Great.
Now answer question number 9. Now answer question number 10. Now answer question number 11. Now answer question number 12.
Questions 13 to 16.
Sorry to keep you waiting. What can I do for you?
Well, I need some help finding accommodation for the semester.
You've left it a bit late, haven't you? You'll be lucky to find anything.
Yeah, well, I had a room lined up with someone in town, but I rang her yesterday and it turns out she's given the room to someone else.
Didn't you pay a deposit?
No, I didn't think I needed to. We had a sort of informal agreement.
Very informal by the sound of it. Well, that'll teach you for next time, won't it? Well, we won't have a lot available. I have to say we definitely don't have any rooms available in the student dorms. I mean, there are always a few no-shows, but we won't know about that for another couple of weeks, and presumably you'll need a place to stay in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are here now. We're staying in a motel just out of town, but they'll be leaving in a couple of days.
Well, you could always stay there for a couple more weeks and then take up any free spaces in the dorms when we know about them.
That might be a problem. I mean, I don't have my own transport, so it'll be hard for me to get on and off campus.
Well, that's likely to be an issue whatever you do. You won't find anywhere on campus now.
I suppose I could sleep on a friend's floor for a couple of weeks.
Now, you know that's against college rules, don't you?
Yes, I guess.
Well, it seems to me you have two options. You can either find a motel or a guest house somewhere closer to the campus, where you can stay a couple of weeks until we know about any students who don't show up this term. Mind you, they're going to be pretty full now, what with all the students arriving. And there are a lot of people on the waiting list, so we can't guarantee you a dorm. You may be better off looking for some private accommodation in town, you know, renting a room in a private house or sharing a flat with other students.
Yeah, that might be best. Do you have a list of places here?
Well, we got a folder over there of people in town with rooms available. You can look through it and jot down some numbers. Bear in mind, though, that we've had about 50 students a day for the past week coming in and taking a look at it. And we can't keep track of what's available and what's taken. You'll have to do some ringing around.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, you can always look on the Student Body website. There's an accommodation page there, too, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, but again, this time of year, things are really getting snapped up all the time. It's hard to keep tabs on what's still out there.
Okay, well, thanks for your help. Can I put my name on that waiting list anyway, in case I don't find anywhere else?
Sure. Write your details on this form, and we'll get in touch if anything comes up.
Thanks.
Now answer question number 13. Now answer question number 14. Now answer question number 15. Now answer question number 16.
Questions 17 to 20.
Hi, can you help me?
Sure, what's the problem?
I've got to write an essay on electrical distribution and transmission systems, but I can't find any suitable books in the engineering section on Level 3.
Have you used the library search engine?
You mean where you type the keywords into the computer? Yes, I've done that. A couple of books come up, but they're not on the shelves. Someone's taken them out.
Well, I can put a reserve on them so that when the person brings them back to the library, we can put them on one side for you. Do you want to do that?
I don't know. I suppose so, but ideally I'd like to get started on my essay sooner rather than later.
Well, there are some other options. Have you used the journal database?
No, what's that?
Didn't you go on a library induction tour in the first week of term? They were running 5 days a week, morning and afternoon.
No, I was ill that week.
Well, we still do 2 library inductions a week on Wednesdays, and I recommend you go on one of them. You'll learn a lot of useful things. You can sign up at the desk on level 2.
Yes, I probably should do that then.
Well, I'll just quickly show you how you can use the journal database. If you go onto the library homepage on the computer, look and click on Databases, here in the top right-hand corner, it takes you to all the e-journals that we have access to here at the University Library. You can use the search engine to find journals that are related to your keywords. See, if I type in electrical transmission, you get over 5,000 articles.
Wow.
So that's a good place to start. Meanwhile, you can always go and talk to your subject librarian. The person for electrical engineering is Mark Taylor. His office is on level 4.
Will he be there now?
Let me see. What's the time? 12:15. He'll probably be on lunch, or if not, he'll be going at 12:30. You'd be best to wait and come back at 2-ish. Then you'll be more likely to catch him.
Okay, thank you.
Now answer question number 17. Now answer question number 18. Now answer question number 19. Now answer question number 20.
This is the end of part 2. Now, go on to part 3. Now you will have some time to look at part 3. We will tell you when part 3 begins. Part 3, questions 21 to 35. In this part, you will hear 3 talks or lectures. The talks or lectures will not be repeated. There are 5 questions for each talk or lecture. For each question, choose the right answer, A, B, C or D.
Questions 21 to 25.
Today we're going to look at the life and some of the works of one of America's finest modern female poets, Sylvia Plath. At the time of her death in 1960, Plath was on the verge of the critical success and record of poems Ariel had just been agreed. These, mostly written during the last year of her life, chronicle the traumatic developments taking place in her personal life and were to make for her a reputation as a first-rate poet. It wasn't until 1982, almost 20 years after her death, that her posthumously published Collected Poems won the Pulitzer Prize for Literature. Since this time, the fascination and intrigue with her work has continued to grow. Very few modern poets have captured the popular imagination as much as Plath, even to the extent that in 2003, a movie was made about her life and her intense relationship with husband and fellow poet Ted Hughes. To understand the continued growth in interest in her work, we have to look at the issues which her life and work address. As Susan Bassnett writes in her book on women writers, dying as she did in 1963, Sylvia Plath never knew that so soon afterwards the problems of what and how women write was to become such a crucial matter, and was to be debated by so many other women. So Sylvia Plath was a woman writing about women's issues before they were recognized as being of any importance. Sylvia Plath was born in Robinson Memorial Hospital in Boston, October 27, 1932. She was the firstborn child of Otto and Aurelia Plath, both highly educated academic people. Her father, Otto, was a professor of biology at Boston University, but her mother had been subjugated into a domestic role as housewife, despite her level of education. Her father was not too pleased with the birth of his daughter, and demanded that his wife have a son within the next 2 years. Amazingly enough, his wife obliged by giving birth to a son almost exactly 2 years later. This domineering father figure became a common theme that recurred throughout Plath's writing. With the birth of her brother, Sylvia had to work much harder to win her father's attention and approval. When in 1936 Plath's father became ill, access to him became even more restricted, and Plath's main means of getting attention from her father was by achieving academic success. This meant that from an early age she began to equate love with success. In 1940, Plath's father died, and this left the family in a very difficult financial situation. They were forced to move away from the seaside home that Plath had enjoyed so much and into a suburb of Boston, and her mother had to take a part-time job to support the family. In 1950, Plath graduated from Bradford High School and won a scholarship to Smith College. In the same year, she published a short story entitled "And Summer Will Not Come Again," and a poem called Bitter Strawberries. Plath's time at Smith was difficult as she had very high expectations of herself. She wanted to achieve immaculate grades, but she also wanted to be accepted by her peers, and an important part of being accepted was being popular and dating lots of boys. This was difficult because as a scholarship girl, she only had a very small allowance to spend on clothes and going out, and each year's continued scholarship was dependent on the level of her grades. In 1953, Plath won a fiction contest sponsored by Mademoiselle magazine and was offered the opportunity to go to New York as a guest editor. She relished this opportunity to spend a month working in a professional publishing environment. But Plath returned from New York feeling exhausted, and after hearing news that her application to a creative writing course had been rejected, she fell into what was to become one of her many depressions.
Answer question number 21. Now answer question number 22. Now answer question number 23. Now answer question number 24. Now answer question number 25.
Questions 26 to 30.
Hello, class. So today we're going to be looking at facial recognition and to the different sorts of technology that go into facial recognition. Now before we start, can any of you tell me where we can see facial recognition in action? Yes, you at the back?
In the TV show Las Vegas?
Well, you're right. In this popular TV show, the security team pull images of the individuals from their surveillance system and run the image through a database to identify the person. In that way, all the card counters and blacklisted gamblers can be escorted from the poker tables. It looks easy on TV, but in the real world, facial recognition is a tricky business. So let's start with the more traditional methods of facial recognition. Every face has peaks and valleys, and these can be translated into what is termed as nodal points. Each face has about 80 of these, and they include distance between the eyes, the length of the jaw, the width of the nose, things like that. These measurements can be used to create a numerical code, and this is called a face print. This system is good because it can compare two-dimensional images such as photographs. The problem is that images have to be controlled. The person has to be staring straight at the camera, there must be no variance in facial expression or lighting, because any variance in these parameters reduces the effectiveness of the system, so they had to come up with another way. So the new way of recognizing faces is by using a 3D model. It has better accuracy allegedly. 3D imagery detects distinctive features in the face such as the curves of the eyes, nose, and chin, features which do not change over time. These are measured at the sub-millimeter level. Interestingly, a 3D image can be taken not only from a live scan, but also from a 2D photograph. And another good thing about the 3D system is that it can recognize a person from a range of angles. The person doesn't have to be directly facing the camera as in 2D technology. Once again, the system gives each individual a unique code, a set of numbers that represents the face. It's easy to match a 3D image to another 3D image if you already have a 3D image in your database. It's less easy to match 3D images to 2D images, but what they can do is pull certain measurements from the 3D image, such as the eye and so forth, and use this to convert the 3D image into a 2D image, and this image can be more easily compared to the 2D images in the database. But it's not just the measurements which can be used to recognize faces. There's also a new development called skin biometrics. This uses the uniqueness of skin texture to get its results. The process takes a picture of a patch of skin, and the system will then identify any pores, lines, moles, blemishes, and other features of skin texture. This method can be used to identify identical twins, something that cannot be done with the 3D technology. Its other advantages over 3D imagery are that it's insensitive to changes in expression, blinking, smiling, and so forth, and can compensate for changes in facial features, such as the growth of a beard or wearing glasses. It's not perfect, though, as it is sensitive to lighting conditions and poor camera resolution, and if there is glare from the sun. So, now we've covered the main types of facial recognition, we'll move on to its uses. Now, has anybody here...
Now answer question number 26. Now answer question number 27. Now answer question number 28. Now answer question number 29. Now answer question number 30.
Questions 31 to 35.
Well, we've been rock climbing together now on several occasions, and I feel everyone has made excellent progress. I thought you might be interested in hearing about a special weekend climbing workshop that will be given at the State Park Climbing Center next month. The instructors will include Jim Brown, who is one of the most experienced rock climbers in the world today. I'm sure that participants in the course will gain a great deal of confidence and will greatly refine their techniques. There will be room for only 20 participants, so everyone will be given close attention. The cost for the weekend, including accommodations and food, is $300. There will be a small extra charge for equipment for those participants who don't have their own. Also, a $30 non-refundable deposit is required by the end of next week, and the balance should be paid by July 20th. I do urge everyone here to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. If you want to register, I'll give you an application form. After our climb this morning, return the form and deposit to my office as soon as possible.
Now answer question number 31. Now answer question number 32. Now answer question number 33. Now answer question number 34. Now answer question number 35.
This is the end of part 3. This is the end of the listening section of the test. Now you will have 5 minutes to transfer your answers to your answer sheet. This is the end of the listening section of the test. Please put down your pen and hand in your answer sheet to the teacher. Thank you very much.